Hello and welcome to Strange Yokai Iceberg Volume 2. Continuing down the ancient Japanese text of Toriyama Sekian, we start off from where we left, Hyaki Yagyo Volume 3, Win. This video is going to be fun. We have spooky, hairy and downright bizarre creatures in this video. So if you enjoy discussing and listening to this kind of topic, such as folklore, ancient mythology, history and so on, be sure to subscribe to this channel because we have a lot more. So without further ado, let's jump into the iceberg. Mikoshi Nyudo, the look-over monk. A creepy, hairy humanoid yokai that resembles a monk with exaggerated features, body covered with hair, bald head and fiery red eyes. One distinct feature of Mikoshi Nyudo is that, like Rokurokubi, the yokai has an elongated neck. It has a penchant for sneaking up on unsuspecting travelers in the mountains and spooking them from behind. It is quite a popular yokai as well, appearing in various demon scrolls and such. In Sekian's illustration, we see Mikoshi peering or hiding behind a tree, probably waiting for its next victim to scare. The sandals dangling from the tree branch are probably trophies from previous victims it has frightened. Shokera. In a folk religion called Koshin, a mixture of Buddhist and Taoist beliefs that took root somewhere around the 9th century AD, believes that all humans are inhabited by worms that record good and bad deeds. The worm will then go up to heaven every 60 days to report on its host's good and bad deeds. However, the worm can only do this whenever the host is asleep. When the deeds are reported to heaven, the gods will then decide whether to lengthen or shorten the person's lifespan based on the person's deeds. Usually, people that live a good life are not worried about this, but the bad ones do. So to avoid the worm reporting their bad deeds, they will try to stay awake on every 60th night. The worm is then unable to report and do its duty. So this is when Shokera comes into play. Shokera's existence is to counter this problem. They will hunt down and stalk people from windows, the people who stayed up all night and violated the laws of heaven. Hyosube, a hairy bald dude with a creepy smile on its face. Hyosube are said to be distant relatives of Kappa, although they are far more dangerous and incorrigible. They are said to live at riverbanks, however, they will occasionally invade farms and people's bathtub. From what I can gather, they have an eldritch kind of quality to them, as someone who looks at them, whether by accidentally or not, will cause terrible illness or fever to the person, which can later turn into a pandemic. They will sometimes cackle with an evil laughter, which if someone hears their laughter, whether accidentally or not, can cause illness and even death to the person. According to the legends of Shiomi Jinja, Hyosube are spirits of dolls that were discarded unceremoniously in the river near Shiomi Temple. These enchanted dolls were said to help build the Kasuga Grand Shrine. Being dumped just like that pisses the spirits of these dolls, and their spirits twist and turn into a Hyosube. Sekian's illustration shows a Hyosube sneaking out of a toilet. This can be deduced by looking at a kettle without a cup. This is for washing purposes, and the incense burner, which acts as an air freshener. Waira, one of my favorite yokai, just because of how weird, ugly and hairy it looks. There is no information as to what they are, what they do and such. They look like a lumpy fat creature with no hind legs, dragging their body on the ground, with only front limbs that end with a single claw. Its face has a canine-like features with bulging eyes and big mouth. Although Sekian's depiction shows the creature as hairy all over, other demon scroll illustrations show them as hairless with greenish skin. In Sekian's illustration, Waira is living and lounging behind trees that grow deep in mountainous areas. It peeks from behind the trees with most of its body hidden, implying that the creature is very reclusive, and also explaining why there is so little story or documentation of this yokai. Otoroshi, another fun yokai that I like. Well, what can I say? I really like the ugly cute ones. Their striking appearance is their piercing pair of eyes and a huge mouth that stretches to a permanent screwed up smile, showing its sharp pair of fangs. It is covered with long flowing hair and it possesses a large pair of hands, equipped with sharp claws. Its habitat is usually in deep forests and also abandoned temples. It likes to sit on top of tall structures, such as the roof of a building, and on top of torii gates. It likes to eat birds. As you can see from Sekian's illustration, it is holding a bird in its claws. Some say that they are guardians of these abandoned shrines. Nuri Botoke. In Japanese homes, there are large, ornate wooden shrines called a butsudan. It serves as the center of the household spirituality, and this is where the ancestors of the family are enshrined. It is said that these butsudan are gateways to the spirit world, where the doors of the butsudan are closed after sunset. So, there is the superstition that if the butsudan is left open after sunset, unwanted spirits can wander into the living world, haunting the family. Nuri Botoke is one of these spirits. So we have moved from cute ugly creatures to not so cute and very creepy yokai. Nuri Botoke has death all over its appearance. It looks like a fat bloated monk and jet black or dark in color. All of this signifies death and black impurity. It has a pair of dangling eyeballs attached to its eye sockets, referencing to the Myotoshi or the fallen eyes, an idiom for death. And in other scrolls, it is depicted as having a fish-like tail emerging from its back. The word Botoke literally means Buddha, but it also can mean those who died. This also explains why it has the similar appearance of that of Buddha statues. Second's illustration shows the yokai crawling out of the butsudan. Nure Onna, the snake woman that is said to haunt seacoasts and riverbanks, stalking and preying on unsuspecting victims. Sekian's portrayal is pretty striking. You see a half woman, half snake creature with a long serpentine body coiling the tree, while she is looking towards the sea. It has long flowing hair that is plastered to her head. In this illustration, Sekian depicts her as having a pair of upper limbs, while other scrolls depict her as having the head of a woman attached to a snake body. In legends, it is said that Nure Onna disguises herself as a woman holding her baby. Standing at the side of a river or sea, she will ask passers-by to help hold her baby for a while. When a person agrees and holds the baby, the woman will then walk into the water and vanish. Then, suddenly, the baby becomes a rock that sticks to the person's hands. The rock became so unbearably heavy that the person could not move. This is where the Nure Onna emerges from the water and eats the person. The other version of the story shows a different kind of yokai that emerges from the water to consume the victim, and Ushi Oni, a yokai that we will cover later in the video. Now, I know Nure Onna from Team Ninja's Neo 2, where I don't know why, but they decide to make this Nure Onna having huge, voluptuous, mind-boggling Nurarihyon. The word Nurari indicates something floppy and slimy, while the hyon meaning bizarre. This huge, bald-headed, old man-looking yokai is said to be the leader of the yokais, said to be the one directing the Demon Horde night parade. However, this part of the lore is a new addition introduced in 1929 by Morihiko Fujisawa in his book. However, general consensus among folklorists believe that what Sekian depicts here is a political cartoon, depicting a slimy, high-ranking aristocrat. However, if you look carefully, the yokai only have one sword instead of two, which means it is from a very wealthy townsman or merchant class and not from a samurai background. The illustration depicts a time when the lower class merchants climbed on top of the samurai class. As their growing accumulated wealth results in them growing in societal and economical influence and power. Merchants operate as loan sharks, whose balance book gives them tremendous power over the social classes that are supposedly above them. Gagoze, a boogeyman figure in Japanese folklore. It is said that the creature used to live in Gangoji Temple Bell Tower. Gangoji is a temple in Nara. The yokai originates from a 9th century text called the Nihon Ryoiki, a record of strange ghostly happenings in Japan. According to the text, a young powerful monk decides to investigate the Gagoze temple's bell tower after many of his fellow disciples began dying, one after the other. During his investigation, he finds out that there is an Oni, Gagoze, living in the tower. The young monk took care of the fearsome demon, dragging it out and driving it from the tower. Oni, or also known as Wow Wow or Ow Ow. A funny name. By the way, this yokai is a hag-like creature that is covered with long flowing hair. Despite its fearsome look, Oni are known for helping people out. Their way of haunting is that they will come visit a targeted house late at night, disguising themselves as an old lady, asking the owner to lodge and meal for the night. If the owner is kind enough and invites her in, she will repay by spending an enormous amount of thread for the owner and his or her family when the family is asleep, and the Oni will disappear early in the morning. The name Oni comes from the Japanese word for reimi, a fibrous plant used to make thread. Bozu, the blue monk. As you can see behind here, there is a Lacquered tree. A Lacquered tree was often planted at temple grounds, where the plants will be harvested for materials to treat those suffering from a variety of maladies. So by looking at this illustration, there is a one-eyed monk standing in front of a dilapidated tea house, with a tree growing. Since there is no information behind this supposed yokai, folklorists start to speculate based on this illustration. The word blue in Japan is similar to the word green in English. Blue can be a word for rookie, inexperienced and immature. So probably this illustration takes a jab on what Sekian sees as an inexperienced or corrupt monks. Akashita, the red tongue. Another commentary on life in the form of yokai. The yokai is a hairy creature that floats in the sky with haze or smoke surrounding it. It has its big mouth open, showing its tongue. Notice that there is a water sluice below it, used to irrigate field and rice paddies. This yokai is the personification of the proverb Shita wa wazawai no ne, the tongue is the root of all disaster, and Kushi wa wazawai no mon, the mouth is the gate of all disaster. So basically a lesson about not to talk too much or to think twice before saying something. The wide open mouth of the creature symbolizes the talking, while the open floodgate means unleashing disasters. Nupeppo. The name is said to be derived from the word nuperi, meaning a slack face, a dazed expression, or even women who put on too much makeup. The creature is a mass of meat blob with limbs attached to it. It does not have a face, however the fold of its fat and skin make it look like as if it possesses a face. It wanders around in empty alleys, abandoned shrines or temples, and even graveyards. It is said that the yokai is actually made out of dead human bodies, explaining why it appears mostly in graveyards, and also explaining why it has a super pungent odor that it produces. A legend tells a story of how a Nupeppo wandered around the gardens of the shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu, where he later ordered his men to capture the creature and take it far away into the mountains. Later, a wise man tells the shogun that he missed an opportunity, where it is said that if a person were to eat the flesh of a Nupeppo, his or her constitution will be reinvigorated, or in other words, they will be granted eternal youth. Ushi Oni, the ox demon. A fearsome creature having the head of an ox but attached to a meaty body of an arachnid, with sharp single claws for each of its limbs. It likes to eat and prey on humans despite having bovine-like qualities. Their habitats are watery, swampy areas, rivers, waterfalls, and so on. Stories of Ushi Oni were documented several times in ancient texts, such as the work Makura no Soshi, or the Pillow Book. It is said that by just looking at it, a person can get sick and vomit blood. It is also said that it has the ability to shoot poison from afar, and the ability to eat your souls just by licking your shadow. They are also said to work together with Nure Onna, as mentioned earlier, where Nure Onna will disguise as a woman holding a baby, She will then ask a random passerby to help her hold the baby. If the person agrees, then the Nure Onna will walk into the water and vanish. The victim, confused and terrified, now looks at the baby, which is now a rock that sticks to its hand. The rock grew heavier and heavier to the point that the victim could not move. This is where the Ushi Oni will emerge from the water and eat the helpless and paralyzed victim. Sekian's portrayal shows an Ushi Oni having more of a beast-like appearance than that of a spider. Here it emerges from a bush. Uwan. Little is known about this creature, other than the fact that it dwells in abandoned houses, temples and shrines. It likes to scare and terrorize people by emerging from the shadows and screaming Uwan. If the person is weak-willed, he or she will faint, and the creature will suck out the person's life force and put them in a coma forever. However, if you are strong-willed, a way to counter them is to scream Uwan back at them. They will run away and never bother you again. So that was the end of Toriyama Sekian's first work, Gazo Hyaki Yagyo, spanning about 3 volumes. Now we moved on to the next work, Konjaku Gazu Zoku Hyaki, the illustrated demon horde from past and present. This work is a step up from the last one. The illustrations are more vivid and immersive. So starting off with volume number 1 of this work. So let us jump into the yokais. The first entry is a panoramic illustration with the name Omagatoki, the hour of meeting demons. Twilight represents instability and chaos in a way. It is neither light nor dark. It is believed that during twilight, a lot of weird things can happen. And what Sekian shows here, the twilight is the time when numerous phantoms appear and cause chaos to the world. And this is the time where people became very wary, shutting themselves indoors and not letting their children go out and play. It is a beautiful panoramic illustration that I really like a lot. Just by looking at it, you can sense the bleakness and the horror-esque vibe to it, as the town or village is slowly consumed by this mysterious fog, and you can see the spirits taking shape up in the sky. Oni. Oni are the quintessential yokai, the demon of Japan, the popular antagonists of folklores and mythological stories. Oni are portrayed as enormous muscular humanoids with red or green skin, wearing tiger pelt loincloth and possessing a set of horns. They are usually barbaric and evil in nature, killing, kidnapping and eating humans, raiding villages and destroying towns as well. In Buddhism, however, Onis are depicted as torturers in hell, torturing sinners without remorse. Sansei, the mountain spirit. A creature originated from a text called Wakan Sansai Zue, which means Illustrated Sino-Japanese Encyclopedia of the Three Realms. Described as standing between 90 to 120 cm tall, it is an Oni-like creature standing on only a single foot that faces the opposite direction of its face. It is nocturnal and eats frogs and toads as well as crabs. If a person attacks a sensei, then the person will suffer illness or their homes will catch fire. However, if you are being attacked by a sensei, shouting Batsu will stop it in its tracks. Hideri Gami, the Drought bringer. Also from Wakan Sansai Zue, this creature is similar to Sansei, an Oni-like creature covered with fur from head to toe, having one arm and one leg. Although having only half a pair of limbs, it is able to run like the wind. Also, its appearance is a harbinger of drought. It has one eye on top of its head. Notice the rays of sunshine peeking through in this illustration. Well, this might be a reference to real biology, a reference to the parietal eye that sits atop the heads of certain lizards, frogs and fish. This eye is capable of sensing sunlight. Suiko, or the water tiger. A Chinese relative of Kappa, Suiko is said to dwell in China's Sushui River. They are allegedly more aggressive and hostile than that of Kappas. They possess feline-like face features, as well as equipped with sharp tiger-like claws, hence the name water tiger. It also possesses a thick, scaly skin, akin to a pangolin. In Japanese legends, it is said that Suikos are head honchos or bosses of Kappa. In the Kappa hierarchy, Suiko is on the top. Each Suiko is said to command at least or at about 48 Kappas, and in turn, Suiko reports to the Dragon King Ryu-O. Satori, the Perceiver, Japan's answer to Bigfoot. Said to dwell in the mountains of Hida and Mino provinces, it is an ape-like creature, standing upright and covered in dark hair from head to toe. It is said that they are capable of human speech and telepathy. It will try its best not to harm people, however it can read people's intentions, and when someone wants to hurt them, they will run away. Shuten Doji, the Drunken Child. A famous villain figure in Japanese folklore, Shuten Doji is the Oni leader, the head of a small Oni army in Mount Oe. His favorite pastime is drinking shit ton of sake, and also leading his small Oni armies to raid and plunder human villages and towns. They would kidnap humans, especially women, to make them their slaves and also eat them. The legendary samurai Minamoto no Yorimitsu and his 4 heavenly kings leads a raid to rescue the kidnapped humans and kill Shuten Doji. They disguised themselves as monks and entered the Oni stronghold. They were forced to sit at a banquet of human flesh until the drugged sake they brought as an offering took effect. While the Onis were asleep, they then killed the Onis one by one, and Yorimitsu then beheaded Shuten Doji. Disturbingly, the head came to life and bit onto Yorimitsu's helmet. The bite was so strong that the head got stuck to his helmet. In Sekien's illustration, we see the Shuten Doji lounging and resting on top of another Oni, possibly to show his authority and ranking as the leader of the Oni clan, while his hair is in a bob cut shape like that of a child, possibly a reference to his name, the Drunken Child, or the Sake Drinking Child. Hashi-hime, the Bridge Princess of Uji. A woman drawn by hatred and anger due to finding out that her husband is cheating, resorts to becoming a monster to exact revenge on her husband. The tale of Hashi-hime is a famous one in old Japanese literature and arts, appearing in the tale of Haiki and later a Noh play called Kanawa, or the Iron Trivet. So in her hatred, she performs the nightly shrine visit called the Shrine Visit at the Hour of the Ox, which we will later cover in this video as well. She visits the Kifune Jinja shrine every night for 7 nights, praying to the kami Kifune Daimyojin, begging to be transformed into a fearsome Oni. The god heard her pleas and instructed her to soak into the waters of the Ujigawa river for 21 days, and also to wear a specific set of costume. Her face must be painted white, her hair must part into 5 horn-like locks, place an inverted kanawa or the iron trivet on her head, and bite down a torch lit at both ends. And that was what she did. And on the 21st night, she became an Oni, ready to take revenge on her husband. However, she was thwarted by the greatest sorcerer of Japan, Abe no Seimei. Nowadays, she has become a guardian spirit, or kami of sorts, for the Uji Bridge. It is said that a newlywed couple must not cross this bridge because this will lead to Hashi-hime's spirit's jealousy, and many misfortunes will fall onto the couple's married life. Hanya, Demoness. Best known from the No Place mask, which actors or actresses will wear to portray a jealous and evil woman. This mask originates from the No Play Lady Aoi, where the vengeful ghost of Lady Rokujo, which we briefly talked about in the last video in the Ikiryu entry, stalks and curses Lady Aoi. Lady Rokujo was Hikaru Genji's mistress. However, after Genji was married to his official wife, Lady Aoi, Lady Rokujo's jealousy grew so immense that her spirit manifested as a vengeful ghost while she was sleeping. Tera Sutsuki, the Temple Packer. When Prince Umayado, or better known as Prince Shotoku, first brought in Buddhism into Japan, it was heavily opposed by the Mononobe clan, led by its ruler Mononobe no Moriya, which led into a battle that resulted in the defeat of the Mononobe clan and Moriya crushed. It is said that the spirit of Moria manifested as a flock of woodpeckers that came and invaded the first Buddhist temple in Japan, Shitanoji. However, the story goes that Prince Shotoku transformed himself into a hawk to drive the woodpeckers away. Nyunai Suzume, Palace Sparrows, refers to a real imperial court official named Fujiwara no Sanekata. He was an extraordinary poet and also a playboy back in the day. Sadly, after his lost and embarrassing performance against a rival poet, he was banished to Oshu. Here in Sekien's illustration, it is said that his desire to return home manifested as a flock of sparrows that ravaged the imperial palace's kitchen stores. Tamamo no Mae, extraordinarily beautiful, extraordinarily genius, and extraordinarily evil. Said to be an ancient fox spirit that has achieved the rank of 9 tails, the highest ranking within foxes or kitsune. A fox that lives for 100 years will grow a new tail and obtain supernatural powers. So 9 tails equal 900 years and 9 times or even more the supernatural power. She disguised herself as an otherworldly beautiful woman by the name of Daji and arrived in China first. There she became a concubine of King Zhao. Through her growing influence within the dynasty, she uses her power to wreak havoc and chaos from within the dynasty. After wreaking havoc in China, she went to India. There she did the same thing again, and then she moved back to China again, where this time she was hunted down. She fled to Japan, taking the name Tamamo no Mae. In Japan, she was taken by the current Japan's emperor as his consort, where with her newfound power, she yet again wreaked havoc and caused a lot of upheaval within the court. Not only that, the emperor's health also began to deteriorate. This went on until one of the omyoji of the court exposed her as an evil kitsune. She escaped and was hunted down by the emperor's men. During her escape, she was shot down by one of the emperor's men with an arrow. It is said that her body became the infamous cursed stone called Sesho Seki, or the life-taking stone. Osakabe-hime, or Lady Osakabe, a recluse lady yokai that is said to reside in Himeji Castle. Some say her to be a ghost of a princess from ages long ago, while some believe her to be an old fox spirit. Lady Osakabe is a mysterious yokai individual that dwells and haunts Himeji Castle. There is a text that states that if someone was to look or glance at her, he or she will perish. According to one story, the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi had attempted to confront this elusive woman in the tower of Himeji Castle, but the lady ran to the top of the tower. Musashi pursued her, and upon touching her, numerous humanized foxes suddenly emanated from her. Musashi realizes that Lady Osakabe was possessed by a group of lady fox spirits, and touching her served as an exorcism that drove out these malevolent spirits. This story was captured in a wonderful ukiyo-e by Tsukioka Yoshitoshi. In Sekien's depiction, we see Lady Osakabe as a hag peeking through a blind while bats flying everywhere. Ushi-No-Toki-Mairi, Shrine Visit at the Hour of the Ox. I talk about this curse extensively in this video, so go check it out after this video. Anyways, this refers to the infamous curse that is said to be very dangerous. The Hour of the Ox relates to an archaic way to measure time, where the Hour of the Ox is around 2 to 2:30. It is said that if you go and pray at a shrine within this hour, your prayer has a very high chance for it to be heard by the gods. However, this seemingly innocent belief was changed and perverted into something that is ominous and evil. A jealous individual will go to a shrine at the ox hour to perform a ritual, nailing a doll to a sacred tree, while wearing a peculiar set of outfits. She wears an upturned iron trivet with candles attached to each foot, face painted white and ghastly looking, while bringing a doll made out of straw, a hammer, and long iron nails. There at the shrine, she pounded the doll to the sacred tree while cursing. It is said that the target of the curse will experience mysterious pains and illnesses, depending on what part of the doll the nail is pounded onto. There are certain rules that need to be followed when performing this curse. The one who curses must not let anyone see them performing the curse, because if they do, they must kill the eyewitness. If he or she fails to do so, the curse will bounce back to them. And also, for this curse, only certain shrines will work. One of the supposed effective shrine for this curse is the Kifune shrine. If you go there one day, try looking at the sacred tree there. You will see many holes, a scar left by wicked people who wished ill on other people many ages ago. So that is the end of Strange Yokai Iceberg Volume 2. Volume 3 will be up somewhere in the future. But for the next video, it will be totally different. Totally not a yokai kind of video, and also totally not from Japan even. So thank you so much for watching. If you do enjoy listening, discussing this kind of topic, feel free to subscribe to this channel. And also if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it as well. So thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.